Tired of chasing your team for incomplete timesheets every week? Well, this automation connects BambooHR and Slack automatically and notifies anyone who has incomplete timesheets. No more manual checking and no more reminder emails. Let me show you how it all works. So as you can see here, I'm in a Slack channel called Employee Notifications. And what's going to happen is that in this channel, a notification is going to be sent to an employee notifying them if a timesheet is incomplete. And so as you can see here, I'm waiting for a response to see if I have actually any incomplete timesheets. And as you can see, a notification just popped in here saying @Peter, where it's pinging me and it says you're missing project info for time entry on this date of this month of this day. Time logged is 1 hour. So as you can see, I immediately received a notification within Slack notifying me that there's a time entry which is incomplete. And what I need to do as an employee is I need to make sure that I go to BambooHR and make sure that I fix it. What an awesome automation. Hi, my name is Peter from Connex Digital. We are an automations and integrations company that specializes in BambooHR and Slack automations. If you're interested in working with us, please be sure to book a free discovery call with us. We'll be more than happy to assist you with all your needs. If you want more information, please check the links down below in the description of this video. Without further ado, let me show you how you can build this BambooHR and Slack automation. Alright, let's get into it. The digital automation platform that we'll be using to build this automation workflow is Make.com. And I'm sure this is a tool that you are familiar with. In this scenario, we'll be using 5 different modules in order to build this automation workflow. The first module will be a BambooHR module where we actually get the timesheets. The second one will iterate the timesheets within BambooHR. Then the third module is going to get the employee ID within BambooHR. Then from there, we're going to search for the user within Slack and we're going to use their work email. And then from there, once we get the user in Slack, then we are going to then send them a message. So the user acts as a employee and we're going to send them a message within Slack. So let's get into it. Let's get into the first module. So the first module here is a trigger module within BambooHR and it's called Get Today's Timesheets. And so what are we doing here? We are making an API call. So as you can see, the method is get, and then the URL is this over here. And so this URL is going to make sure that when we make the call, we are going to get timesheets within BambooHR. And then you can see that the header key is content type, and then the value is application/JSON. And then from here, we are just also making sure that the key is accept. The value is application/JSON. Great. So now when we go to the query string, you can see that there are 2 things over here. So there's one key which is start with a value here, and then there's another key which is end with another value. And so what is happening here when it comes to the query string? What we're doing is that we are just setting a parameter between the start and the end date of the actual timesheets. So we are saying that we actually want the timesheets to start at a specific date and also end at a specific date. And so once that is triggered, we're going to save. And then once we get the timesheets within the database of BambooHR, what's going to happen is that we're going to now iterate those timesheets so that we can actually split them accordingly and then use them within the automation. Then once we iterate the timesheets, then it's going to get into a filter. So essentially, what are we doing here? Why did we actually create a filter? Well, let me explain it like this. Here's the label name, right? And the label name is project name does not exist. And we see here that the condition is the project name within BambooHR does not exist. And so it's a basic operator. And essentially, what is the logic? The logic is if a project name does not exist within the BambooHR database, then what's going to happen is that it's going to then create this filter. It's going to pass through this filter. And what's the basic logic? The basic logic is that we don't want timesheets that are complete, right? We don't want timesheets that have tasks and also have project names. we want timesheets that don't have project names as well as project tasks. What's going to happen is that this filter is going to only look for timesheets that are incomplete, that don't have project names and project tasks within BambooHR, and then that's when the timesheets are going to pass through this filter. So it's a very, very nice feature, and all the incomplete timesheets will then pass through over here. So once we're done with this filter, we're just going to click on save. So what I actually want to do now is I want to run this automation so you can see the different timesheets that I'm getting and how they actually correlate within BambooHR. So if I run this automation over here, awesome. So what you can see, I'm going to go into the Iterator. You can see that these are the different timesheets that I am actually getting. So the employee ID is 4 over here. Here's another one. Employee ID is 4. Employee ID then is 8. So essentially I got 3 different timesheets from today's date. Now what's going to happen, as I said, is that here is a filter. You can see that the filter inspector says that 2 of the timesheets did not pass through the filter and only 1 passed through. And why is that the case? Because over here it means that there were project names for these specific timesheets, but for this timesheet over here there was no specific name or specific task, and that's why the filter says tick, and that is correct. And so in order to look into this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here, because it means that this specific timesheet was the one that actually did not have a project name and a project task. And so if you look at the output over here, you can see employee ID is 8. So I'm going to actually go into BambooHR and make sure that I remember that. And so as you can see that this is actually me within BambooHR. I am actually the culprit. That's why you also saw a message going to be sent into my Slack. So in order to confirm this, in make.com, the employee ID was 8. And so if you look here within the browser, it says ID is equal to 8 over here. So that essentially means that yes, I am actually the employee ID. And so let's scroll down over here so I can actually show you the time entries. And there we go. My time entry for September 30th, you can see that it is 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. If I click on here, you can see that this is actually my timesheet, my time entry, but then it doesn't have a project, nor does it have a task. And that's why this automation is so powerful, and this automation is actually working. It shows that I don't have a project name or a project task, and it's something that I need to modify within BambooHR. And so this is essentially why I am the culprit. Now let's look at why then the other timesheets didn't actually pass through the automation. It's because they have existing project names as well as existing project tasks. Now in order to look for that, we need to look for the employee whose ID is 4. So let's look at that employee. So we're just going to go to my people, and I believe it is Charlotte Abbott. So I'm going to click on there. And in order to confirm this, again, we need to go to the URL. So it says here ID is equal to 4. So that's how we know that this is the right employee. So we're going to scroll down to the exact date as well, the same date. And as you can see, this employee has 2 entries over here. So let's look into them. So the 5 to 6 o'clock, you can see that there's already a time entry here. So Helen's Hardware. And then if we click on the drop down, you can see that this is also then the task which exists. Great. And then if we look at the second entry over here, great stuff. We can see that this also is populated. We have the project name, and then we also have the task, which is operations over there. So great. So this essentially means that this is complete, and this is why it didn't pass through within the filter. So I'm sure that now you can see the difference between complete timesheets as well as incomplete timesheets within BambooHR. Now it's time to go back into make.com so that I can show you the rest of the automation. So we go to the next module, which is get an employee. Once we have the incomplete timesheet, then what we do is that we then map the employee ID from the previous module. So as you can see, this is module number 2, and we're getting the employee ID. And so that's going to make sure that we actually get the information of the actual employee. And as you can see, this is coming from the Iterator module over here. So it's over here, and we're just mapping this and we're putting it over there, making sure that we also have all the correct fields down over here ticked. Awesome. So we're just going to save that. Then once we save that, then get the employee ID, then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next module, which is Slack search for a user. So the reason why we got the employee ID is to make sure that we also get the work email of that specific employee who has the incomplete timesheet. And so that's what we're doing here in Slack. We are then getting the work email and we're searching for the employee that exists within Slack, and we're using their work email to achieve this. So here we are mapping work email, and this is coming from this module here, which is get an employee, which is great. Awesome. So we're just going to save that, and then once we have the user within Slack, the employee exists within Slack, then what we're going to do is that we're going to send that employee their incomplete timesheet details. And so there's different things that we just need to set up here. So here it says enter channel ID or name. So we've set that as select from the list. Here it says channel type. So if I click on the drop down, there's different things here like public channel, private channel, direct message to multiple people. But for demonstration purposes, we are using public channel. And then we can see here that public channel is employee underscore notifications. So this is exactly what you saw within my Slack when I got my notification that my timesheet is actually incomplete. So this feature is also very nice because you can also create like a Zap app within Slack, and you can also make sure that this is also public to people that are also within a Slack channel. So it doesn't only have to be a direct message to that particular individual, but you can set it in such a way where you can have like a Zap app, and then it can also notify the mass majority of employees within Slack. So that's a very nice feature, and that's something that you can play around with, whether it's a direct message to the employee or basically another message through a Zap app. So under public channel, which is employee underscore notifications, then we have the text content. So as you can see, the text content is formatted in this specific way. We have at the user ID, then we have your missing project info for time entry on the specific date of the timesheet of the time entry. Then we have time logged, then it gives us the hours, 1 hour. So in that example, it was 1 hour. And so here we have the text content, and you can see that whatever you saw within the Slack message is what is happening over here. Here we have the user ID, which represents the employee that exists within Slack. And so it essentially will just ping them once this message is sent to them. Great. And once you're done formatting then the text content, then what you do is click on save. The automation is complete. This is how you can build a very powerful BambooHR as well as Slack automation. If you're interested in us building this automation for you, we'll be more than happy to do so. Just make sure that you book a free discovery call with us. If you want more information, please check the links down below in the description. You can also visit our website, which is connex.digital, in order to get more information and more insight as to what we are up to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please remember to give us a thumbs up and also comment down below what stood out for you in this video. Subscribe to our channel so that we can give you more valuable content, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.